This 5-Minute Friday is all about how to plant annuals. At least that's what I'm going to title the video. But when I'm saying annuals, what I'm really talking about is annual plants that come up and we enjoy them for a season and then they die in the fall. But there's also some mixed in perennial plants that happen to be perennials for maybe in warmer areas, or we're only going to use them for one season, even if they would normally come back. Those seasonal plants. So that's really what we're talking about. And it also includes the vegetable garden, and we'll pop over there in just a minute and talk about the vegetable garden space. There's just no difference between how I treat anything that's seasonal out here. And the reason I treat these differently is I only have 6, and well, in our area, maybe 8 months. If you're in much colder areas, you might get 4 or 5 months. I don't know how long you're going to get out of your annuals, but they'll last us until about the 1st of November, typically. The flowering things or foliage things that we put out here, you know, like coleus or something like that, and then the very floriferous things. No matter what, it's still a very short period of time. And in order for something to grow on the top, it has to have lots and lots of roots down below it. So I'm perfectly fine planting this Japanese maple over here in my clay-based soil that's, at the time it was planted, was just slightly amended and, you know, had some wood chips that had broken down and a little bit of compost back there. But really, if it takes that thing a couple of years, or a shrub or a tree or something like that, it's kind of normal for something to have the process of rooting out into the soil and then starting to grow a little faster as time goes on, right? I mean, you'll see even fast growing things like a green giant arborvitae will grow like a foot the first year a lot of times, and then 2 feet the second year, 3 feet, and maybe more in the future per year. But that correlates with its root system, building on it over time, right? So for these annuals, I got to get a root system as quick as possible. And you can't do that by just slamming them in the same exact hard pan soil along your sidewalk, you know, going up to your house, and expect that plant to be able to really root in and perform its best in that one season it has in the ground. So that's where the reason I make the differentiation. So I really need to have that subsoil kind of broken up some. And I don't do a lot of tilling. You know, and I've said on the channel many times, tilling is killing, because when you flip the soil over, any beneficial life that you've created down there is going to die in the sunlight, you know, being flipped over like that. But initially, if you're creating annual beds, vegetable garden, those kinds of things, I would assume that there's no life in the soil and go ahead and till it at least once. Get some compost down in it, get something mixed down in it where these things can really have a subsoil that's broken up. You know, that especially in new construction housing where they ran machinery all over it, back and forth, smoothing it out, stole your topsoil, left you with subsoil. It's good to get down in there. And even after you do all that, even after you till it that one time, even after you put a layer of compost like we did here in this spot right here, it won't necessarily be the best annuals you're ever going to grow in that spot. It can take a few years for that soil to really, most of these annual flowering summer things are pretty aggressive rooting. So they're going to do something to improve the soil each year as well, each time they come back. So, but that's the main differentiation here. I got to get, in order to have this big of an annual plant up on the top, I got to have a root system like this. And I can't wait 2 years for that to happen because I only got 8 months with the plant. So we need that subsoil broken up, lots of organic material. So you can use, in the past with most of my annual beds, I've used pine bark soil conditioner and compost. That is it. I mean, a pine bark soil conditioner and cow manure. Like a 50-50 blend of the two. That's what I used on my landscape jobs. That's what I used on my home landscape. And when I started this channel, I showed the same thing. It works really well because that bark doesn't break down over the years and keeps that soil from recompacting in between seasons, you know, when you're not, you know, when the plants aren't there. Problem is, a lot of people in the country can't find it. So I just can, when we started this project here in Raleigh, I just went to all compost. And so this is, I don't care if it's mushroom compost or cow manure, or, you know, this happens to be soil cube compost. It doesn't matter, but that's what I'm planting in. But underneath that, it's been broken up several times now. So not only will it go down through that compost, there's a very broken apart organic layer underneath that as well, that are going to give these the best chance to get down in the ground. So that's my version of planting them. If you're planting a foundation planting at your house, okay, and you're going to leave a little place cut out for annuals color. Let's say you're going to have salvias or vincas or zinnias or whatever in the summertime in some little spot, it needs to be treated differently than you're treating for your boxwoods and your Indian hawthorns and your azaleas and whatever else that you're planting on that foundation planting. It needs to have a lot of organic material, and it needs to be broken up initially to allow these things to root in during that very short one season that you have with them. If the soil's prepared well, you probably shouldn't need a drill to plant your annuals. You know, if you're planting some perennials, 1 gallon shrubs, that kind of thing, or whatever, and you want to use one of those drills, that's fine. But if you're needing a drill to put in your annuals, it's probably too compact. So if you saw me there using a trowel to plant those few annuals, I have the soil so worked that, you know, I just pull the soil back, pop the annual in, pull the soil back, pop the annual in. So we put a coat of compost over the vegetable garden, but again, we're going to call this a seasonal garden, okay? It doesn't matter that it's tomatoes and peppers versus zinnias and salvia. It's all this exact same thing. I have a very short season. I need to get them rooted out as much as possible because that's going to give them the performance that they need and require the least amount of fertilizer possible. Because if they can get down in this subsoil, this clay-based soil, despite being kind of hard to dig in, has all the nutrients these plants need. It's going to greatly reduce the amount of fertilizer I need and greatly increase the nutrient density of the food that I'm growing to get things out of the natural soil, okay? So I just want to show you here. This is only, we added maybe an inch of compost this year, but I can take this shovel, I don't know how, this actually has a measurement on it, it's 5 inch. This shovel's roughly 10 inches long right there, and I can take it and just do that, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, that your annual beds, and again, you're not gonna get there the first year, okay? It took a minute to do this. And I can pull back on this and you can see, you know, how aerated it is. I don't want a lot of foot traffic out here, and I'm standing out here talking to you about this right now. I actually wanna limit the foot traffic in it. We'll get in here and we have to plant, obviously, but other than that, I don't want a lot of foot traffic in it. And if I have to come in here and weed, we will. But you can see, I can sink that in there 10 inches in the ground. This is 4 years in the process, so don't beat yourself up if you're not growing your best tomatoes the first year, your best zinnias or whatever it is. But this requires very little fertilizer, requires a lot of upfront work to break up. You can break it, you can get in here with a tiller, or you can get in here with a shovel and sink the shovel down and pull it back. You can get in here with a fork and put a fork in the ground and pull it back. Whatever you need to do to get some of that subsoil broken up, add compost to it, and then seasonally add compost to it every year. And eventually you will have won the battle where you can do that. And once you can do that, you can really grow great nutrient dense food in your own garden or big, beautiful flowers. We call our flower design out here Clown College, and then, you know, our annuals will be this big before the end of the year. And we'll maybe have fertilized them a couple times during the season. But again, because they have access to that soil, real soil down there, deep down in the ground, they get most everything they need from that. So there you go. There's my how to plant annuals, which is really just how to plant seasonal plants that you have a very short window with. Thanks for watching.